Alright guys, on this video we are going to be taking the valve springs off using this tool we just mocked up welding for the first time. Keep watching, you'll learn a thing or two, or I'll learn a thing or two. Wait, what? Alright guys, so again, this is where we currently are. If you don't know where we are, make sure you watch the previous videos to catch up to date with everything that's going on with the GM Ecotech dissection. And the next step right now, we have to take the valve springs off, also remove all the valves from underneath the head. So we removed one already. As you can see, the tool worked like a charm, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do this. There's so many tools out there that you can buy that's specific to the engine you're working on, and usually you'll mock it up to one of these head bolts here, and that it will help remove the spring. But I wanted to do something universal, something that's easy, cheap, efficient, and there's a lot of different ways people go about it to remove the valve springs. Some of them just take a socket on top of the spring, pound it, and if they're lucky, those little guides, they remove themselves and you can take the spring and valve off. Other people do it different ways, but I like this method that I'm going to show you guys right now, so keep watching. Alright, so what I have done here, this is pretty much something you would use to lift the hydraulic jack of your vehicle. This is the bar, and I took another bar right over here, and this is pretty much, I guess, some kind of socket. You know, it wasn't a real thick socket, metal, so we used that. We used a stone wheel to grind off this opening right over here, which is what we need. But it was so weak, it actually, once we did it and we compressed it, it would cave in on us. So we had to do a couple lines of bead on it with the welder. We actually welded a little washer in there to support the strength. And this is the basics of how this is gonna work. Alright guys, so I'm taking advantage of this heavy engine on this pallet. We drilled a little hole in there. That's where this bar is gonna go in. And essentially, we're just gonna be pressing down on this in the specific locations where the valves are and compressing it. Once we compress it, you will need some kind of magnetic device to take the keepers off of the valve. Once you remove the keepers, everything will pop up and you are good to go. So let's try it. So I just need to adjust the head itself, where the head is positioned. And I got a pair of gloves underneath the valves so the valves are not pressed in. At this point, we're gonna put our body weight on here. Try to take those keepers off. I got one. See, we got one of them off. This is the tricky one. This is the tricky part of this build. I'm gonna rotate that other keeper around a little bit. Let me see if I can get him. And I got the second keeper right here, boys. I'm lifting off the valve now. Again, I got both keepers. I'm gonna pull out that spring right there. Everything nice and smooth. One person can do it all. And now I'm gonna rotate that motor, the head. Again, I had the gloves pretty much just positioned under it, just so it keeps some pressure on the valve. I'm just gonna slightly push the valve off, and we got the exhaust valve number 4 right over here. Now what's interesting is when you're doing this, you want to just make sure you're watching the back surface. You're watching the back surface of the valve, because if there's a lot of pits and damage in there, that means it's not sealing properly. So, and then you can see all the carbon deposits on the valve itself, which is very normal. Which, again, this is a port injection motor, which would affect the intake valves, honestly, more than the exhaust valves. And then the other thing you want to examine is the actual seats on the head. You know, most likely we're gonna end up cleaning these up, so we make sure that cylinder seals properly. But right now we're gonna take all these valves and retainers off, put them in a safe spot where we are keeping all the internals of this head, and we'll get back to you guys then. Alright guys, and here is my organizational skills right now. We got all the, let's see, those are probably, the first row is exhaust hydraulic lifters and rollers. Second row is intake lifters and rollers. Third row is all the exhaust valves, springs, retainers, and clips. And then the last row is just the intake side as well. And this is the exhaust side, this is the intake side. Just look at the difference in size right here. Also, you can see most of the deposits are on the exhaust valves. They experience a lot more heat, and here you can see this valve is a lot cleaner because of port injection. The seats on the intake side seem pretty good. The exhaust seats definitely are not the best. Alright guys, not too bad. The tool works really good, and I mean honestly, you guys can make a tool like this very quickly and efficiently. If you have a welder, that's your best bet. Now again, my welds are far from pretty, but hey, the job is done. That's all we care about. If you don't want to spend money, be creative. Now for the most part, the head is pretty much bare. I know there's some seals right over here in the engine that seal in the oil from going down the valve and into the combustion chamber. That I'm not sure if we're going to be removing or we're just gonna leave it in as is. The next thing we would have to do is really just clean this block really well, degrease the hell out of it. It's too cold right now. I don't got the water hooked up. What really needs to happen here is a good degreasing, brush it all in, and we need a power washer to clean everything out. Once that's done, this is gonna look a lot better. And again, we're gonna tackle not only the inside, but we're gonna tackle the ports and the actual combustion chamber as well. We're also gonna have to take all this residue off from the head gasket, so we'll look into what is the best way to remove this. And keep watching, because we're gonna have to get down and do some measurements on this head again, just to make sure this head is good with specifications, if it is reusable, if there was any warpage in the head because of the heat, if the cooling system failed. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like notification, so we can keep going making videos for you. And yeah, that's about it for this one. I'm checking out. See you on the next one, guys. Peace.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the world is pretty cold. You might need a sweater too. I'ma put a ride on ya. Kid from California, trying to make it in life. In school they never taught ya. Dreams along